Now, Fairholme in 1993 uh, gave examples of tactics commonly used in organizations. He argued that these tactics can be ethically and appropriate. However, on the other side, it can be unethical and inappropriate. It is depending on the means employed and the goals that are sought. No? Now, um, if I may quickly share with you an experience that I had when I was still um, working in the hospitality industry. Um, I have been employed by a hotel that is a direct competitor of another brand of hotel. It is a luxury chain hotel. I will not name the names of these properties. However, um, in the hotel that I was working, there was a room under the PR department where there are constantly six people that are working in that particular room. So six people, three people on one side and three people on the other side. The three people on let's say side A are all using positive propaganda, using fictitious names, posting them on Facebook and other sites about how good and wonderful our hotel is. On the other side, as you may know already, these three people are constantly fabricating profiles where they use in various sites again, like TripAdvisor, Facebook, etc., that they are writing negative things, posing as fictitious characters against our direct competitors. So these are examples of um, unethical tactics that are being employed by various organizations. You can imagine in politics uh, how politicians in election period, sometimes even before election period, employ investigators to, dig out dirt, so to speak, against their political nemesis. Now, um, a tactic that is being used is controlling the agenda, no? Determining in advance what issues will and will not be discussed or decided on. Now, an example of this would be if you are elected as the Speaker of the House of Representatives, one of the powers that you yield over the other congressmen in that particular Congress is that you control the agenda. You decide what are the topics that are going to be discussed in that particular session and what are the topics that are going to be discussed on later sessions. So usually what is going to be prioritized would be the agenda coming from the same political party or the same political parties in a coalition with the party of the Speaker of the House. Okay. Now, another tactic would be controlling information and using ambiguity, keeping communications and meanings unclear so that others will be able to be less able to act. Not divulging all information, particularly information against you. So this is pretty much related to controlling the agenda. Okay. Next is forming coalitions, securing alliances with people who are willing to support or agree with you. Next is co-optation, involving those who potentially oppose you in the decision making, thereby attempting to secure their commitment to the outcome. Another one is the use of outside experts, using an outsider's expertise or reputation to legitimize a position and or avoid having to take a potentially controversial position yourself. Okay, now, Um, an example of this is tapping the services of a friend to produce favorable results. I remember once there was a high-ranking member of my government organization that consulted or tapped the services of a consultant, which was later found out to be his first cousin. And that particular person, the consultant, made reviews about a particular system that is favorable to that particular executive. And when it was found out, of course, um, he was sanctioned. Okay. Now, another one is developing others. Now, increasing the capacity of those around you, thereby increasing overall power. No? So, in order for you to consolidate your power base, you need people directly under you that are loyal to you. So, the best way for you to do this is to subject them to training, seminars, making them more capable, develop their skills, so that these are the people that is going to surround you. And since you are responsible directly for their development, then they owe it to you. And there's a high probability that they are going to be loyal to you. And loyalty is very important when you occupy a sensitive post in government. Okay? Now, um, an ethical and an inappropriate example of this is uh, probably a congressman or a governor or a local chief executive that is employing the services of their direct relatives um, instead of more qualified individuals. So that is unethical. All right. Another one is deal making, securing quid pro quo agreements or trade offs with others. It's very simple. If you cannot make a deal, then you cannot command influence. People follow leaders that are able to get things done, to guarantee deals, to make them. Okay. Um, Now, another one is incurring obligations, doing things for people, knowing that such favors will create an obligation for them to repay the favors. No? So, again, this is debt of gratitude, or in the vernacular, you call this utang na loob. Leaders are good at managing debts of gratitude, no? How to repay it, when to repay it, even if it is difficult to quantify. Um, the rules of thumb would be don't ask for a favor if not really needed. Save favors for more important matters. Do people favors whenever possible. The more favors rather people owe you, the more influential you become. But learn to manage favors. No? So in a nutshell, um, if you are in a position to hand out favors to people, if it is ethical, I suggest that you do it, because in our culture, in the Filipino culture, people value, well, most people value debt of gratitude. Uh, the more favors you issued or you had given out, then the more people owe you that favor. And they know that there will come a time that you are going to ask for them to repay those favors. So it is best for a leader to issue favors, and it is also advantageous to this leader if he or she can manage these favors. I'm sure you know what I mean. Okay, next is selecting decision criteria, controlling the criteria by which decisions are made, allowing you to influence the outcome without personally deciding. Now, okay, let's go and move on to contingencies. Now, the challenge is to use tactics and strategies in a manner that is legitimate and effective in a given circumstance. Okay, Yates mentioned that authority, force, persuasion, symbolic rewards, personal style, bargaining techniques, negotiating and mediating skills, as well as coalition building approaches and allocations of benefits all form the manager's range of resources. Okay? Right. He recommended that managers assess the resources, diagnose the situation, and find the desired fit between strategies and the environment. Okay. Now, given all these resources at the manager's disposal, they can use any of the mentioned depending on the circumstances and environment. Okay. An example would be if there are instances of position, rank, salary distortion, the manager can review and allocate benefits and wages. Another one is if there are collective bargaining agreements with the union, a manager can utilize their negotiating and mediating and even bargaining techniques. Okay, so these are the range of resources that a manager can use as contingencies in different environments. Okay, let's go to contingency factors. Number one is substitutability. Now, it is the degree to which people have alternatives in accessing resources. Discretion, on the other hand, is the degree to which managers have the right to make decisions of their own. Centrality represents how important the person's job is and how many people depend on that person to accomplish their task. And visibility is how aware others are of a leader's power and position. There is a Japanese concept called Genchi Genbutsu. In English, it's go and see. If a manager is not an armchair general, if a manager or an executive is visible to the people that he or she governs, to their constituencies, then people are more likely to do their jobs, to do their work, and to respect this particular executive because he is out there in the field with them. He is not in an air-conditioned office, just barking instructions left and right, writing memos, and never leaving that office. They want people on the ground. They want their commander to be with them. Okay? All right. Now, the last portion of this particular report would be the exercises. And this is not hard. I promise myself that I'm not going to give out hard exercises. Okay, let me read the tasks. Number one, which sources of power have you utilized often in your line of work? I'm sure you have utilized a lot. But if you can share that with us and if you can explain why you are particularly using a specific power or source of power. Number two is if you can kindly enumerate the different tactics of influence. And number three, using one phrase or sentence only, differentiate the various contingencies of power. each contingency. Okay, so that ends my presentation. May all of you have a good day. Thank you for listening.